Hey guys, Eric and Roth here to talk about the South Park Season 18 finale. If you care about South Park spoilers, but you kind of should, we're about to talk about them all. So here, let's go. Let's talk about happy holograms, or I guess hashtag happy holograms.
18 seasons.
18 seasons. This was an interesting season of South Park. We'll talk more about this because it got more serialized than way more than usual. This was also part 2 of a two-parter. So all that being said, what did you think? Do you think it's sort of a little more than usual delivered, because usually South Park episodes are kind of just their own thing? What did you think of this finale?
It's funny because it has been more serialized. I thought there were a lot of great individual moments over the season.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of an arc, but I don't think they actually, and I don't know if it's because they haven't done it before, kind of paid it off as strongly as they might have in this final episode. It was a little chaotic. They were trying to throw in a lot of different references at once, and I think as a result, a lot of things didn't fully pay off. We never saw the Lord hologram.
Yeah.
Where was she?
Yeah. It felt really cluttered, and it did make me kind of wish it hadn't been within the serialized season, a two-parter at the end, because the whole PewDiePie thing, I think they did such a good job with it the week before.
Right.
And they kind of did that. But then we had so much of it again in the finale, while they were also trying to do callbacks to everything they did throughout the whole season with the Redskins and the transgender thing.
Yeah.
But then also they
Which were just tossed in really randomly.
Yeah, and so it really felt kind of messier than the best South Park episodes can feel, where you're like, oh, they really are getting this, because it was like they were trying to sort of do so much in 22 minutes.
Because they had nailed a few things, I think, this season. They really nailed the Redskins in that first episode.
Oh, yeah.
And a few other sort of things that they've, like, I thought the most interesting arc was the Lord arc, you know?
Right.
And that's the one that I really wanted to pay off, and then it didn't. At the end, he was like, oh yeah, I'm Lord, see ya. Like, there was just no payoff at all for him.
Yes.
And so, like, that was a little disappointing. And I don't know that this was the most interesting arc, and I don't think it's interesting. I feel like they don't know how they feel about it, because initially they were sort of seemed to be on Team Kyle, where it was like, poor Kyle, I felt bad for him. He just wanted to go play Xbox with Ike. That's all he wanted. And he couldn't get it, and it was sad. But then at the end, they were sort of like, well, anyway, maybe this is an okay thing, and the new generation is here, so what are you going to do? I feel like they felt really conflicted, and therefore they had no clear kind of message. Usually they're going after something. Sure. You know?
And the week before, it did feel more pointed for that reason. Whether or not you agreed with them, you know, because they were pretty much just completely mocking this whole idea of the Let's Plays. Whether you agree with that or not, at least you knew what they were doing.
They had a point of view about it.
Right.
And in their best episodes, they have a really definitive point of view about something. You know?
And I did feel also like it was just, again, the clutter issue, like bringing in Bill Cosby, because when he came in, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, they're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then that was just there. Like, it was like he shows up, and then there's the stuff with, basically, it's like, oh, he's going to do something horrible to Taylor Swift, but there was nothing more. And that felt really un-South Park, actually. Because there was like so much you could do with the idea of what's going on with Bill Cosby and the fact that he was this like beloved TV person. And I think that could have been a whole other South Park episode.
And then it was this wholesome sort of family, family values thing that they were special that they were trying to put on. And then, it was just a random, even the holograms, I don't think fully paid off, you know, like you didn't see a lot of them that were promised. You didn't really see, I just felt like they also felt Michael Jackson's hologram just sort of, although that's amazing. As an idea, it's a great idea, but it didn't fully pay off.
Although I did enjoy the Tupac Terminator hologram.
I did like that. He was the one. I really think Tupac was the best hologram.
Tupac is our favorite South Park hologram. Let us know yours. What did you think of the ending and the whole
Tupac hologram?
The whole reveal of the actual real PewDiePie coming in to South Park and making an actual guest appearance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is very South Park. You know what I mean? To make it and then have it be completely meta, like that this whole thing has been them on his show. I thought that was fun, and I will say that I Hate Cartman Bra was actually trending on Twitter. So they were effective in that regard. I think that's also where the message felt a little muddled to me, where like they were having the conversation on the bench where Kyle comes to this realization of like, well, I've learned something and maybe this is just the way the world is today. But then PewDiePie was kind of hanging over them like an overlord. So I couldn't tell if they were saying that so that he didn't kill them or if they really felt that way, you know?
I mean, what's interesting about South Park is Matt and Trey are not afraid to show audience contempt and, you know, definitely reflect things back and make fun of people watching the show. Everything's on the table, of course. So it was funny even reading the comments on our review because so many people were like, I was pissed when he showed up at the end because I thought it was going to be Mr. Hanky. Well, guess what? They kind of knew that. I mean, that was Matt and Trey trolling us, you know? It was like, oh, who are they talking about? Oh, it's probably going to be Mr. Hanky. Nope. It's going to be someone that we just kind of like really mocked the week before. And so it was kind of an interesting thing to do, but yeah, I don't know if they quite landed with like what their final statement was on all of this.
And maybe this whole season has been a bit of an experiment for them. And like I said, there have been several episodes that I thought really drove the point home and were great. And were some great South Park moments, but maybe they don't quite know how to do serialized just yet. And maybe it's something they can continue to experiment with. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, look, who thought South Park would still be on after 18 seasons? No doubt for them, they're like, how do we keep this interesting for us? Even though we can tackle any topic, still, what can we do formula-wise? And so I think this was an experiment for them. Maybe they'll never do it again, or maybe next year they'll kind of figure it out in a bigger way.
And and having said all of that, like sort of nitpicking and complaining, whatever, I still laughed. You know, like I was still amused, and Cartman still amused me.
I mean, look, it worked perfectly.
The transcendence joke was actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, and the whole, I mean, it began last week, but just the continual, you know, Cartman bra thing. It was like, that's horrible because it's annoying and it's really funny and it's actually catchy in a horrible way, which I think was probably their point, you know, is that, you know, this is a terrible thing that, you know, is also very easily repeatable and that you can kind of start to love.
And I think it's funny too, because asked of their own seemingly conflicted feelings about this, I think it's probably how a lot of people feel too, where they're like, well, I don't really get this and I don't love it and I think this other thing is better that I liked, you know, whether it's like playing Xbox in your living room with your actual brother instead of watching somebody else do it, or whatever it is that you liked and you think is better. There's still a part of your brain that's like, well, this person likes this and I've got to acknowledge that. That's a reality. And I don't know. So maybe their perspective is the same as a lot of us, where it's just like, I don't really get it, but it's definitely a thing.
Right.
You know?
Well, guys, let us know what you thought in the comments. Did you have some misgivings about this, or did you absolutely love it and think we're just being a couple grandpas? Let us know.
Grandpa!
Plenty more on South Park. Keep it here at IGN.